Hi, I'm Cindy Abbott Letro, and this is Behind the Camera. Today we're going to be talking about economic development with making movies, and there's all different aspects of that, from props to electrical to actually filming and acting in the films. But today we're talking more technical, I guess. David Butler is with us with Butler Designs, which is a prop house, essentially.
Right, yeah, basically we have two companies, David Butler Designs and Procreation, and then Buffalo Props is our new prop house.
Great,
Yeah.
and Matt Nardone also, and he is the owner of ND Studio. Explain what it is that you do.
Well, I'm actually one of the owners, but we're a G&E company in Buffalo. We rent a lot of gear to a lot of the films that come into town.
You know, there are people that when they hear about films being made here, it's the glamorous part of it, the stars that are there and somebody that sound, you know, action, cut, whatever. They think of, you know, sort of the glamorous things, but those glamorous things wouldn't take place if both of you didn't do your job, correct?
There's a lot of stuff that happens beforehand. Like I think in any major movie that's around here, there's 30 people around the camera, and then there's another 20 that are running around buying things, purchasing antiques or set dressing or props or making things.
Well, you worked in theater for a long time, so I mean, props for theater, are they the same as props for film?
Yeah, very much so. The big difference is in theater you're seeing something from 30, 60 feet away or more, but in film it could be right in front of the camera, so you can't get away with as much. So the details and all that are a much bigger part of the process.
And for you, I mean, what kinds of things do you do? Explain what area that you work in on a film.
Specifically, I'm a director of photography, so I work in the camera department, usually setting up lighting for the scene, working with the director to figure out blocking and angles for the scene. Our company, though, supplies the lighting that is needed for those scenes.
And how long has that company been around?
ND Studios was actually founded back in 2006, but we really got started when the tax credit went into effect, and that just made our company grow and grow since that.
Well, back when you started, there weren't that many films being made here, so why would you decide to go into something where there's a very narrow demand?
Well, because we all, the people who founded the company came from like UB, and we, had a close-knit group, and we all wanted to make movies. And so I guess there was this hope that, well, if we start somewhere, we'll create this demand, So we were doing a lot of things with other local filmmakers, and then we got in touch with the Film Commission, told them, hey, we're starting to grow a gear base out here, and then they started to push us into the films that did want to come here. And that slow progression, I think, is something that also helped get the tax credit once more and more films start to come here. So it had to start somewhere,
Well, what's interesting about this is everyone we talk to talks about the fact that, they started this because they had a passion for what they were doing. Absolutely. And that finally that passion paid off. We're on the campus of Buffalo State College, and you mentioned UB. Kids that are coming out are really interested in all different aspects of a production, and fortunately there is a demand for it. I mean, what have you seen with what you've done? Of course, you had theater, so that was good, and we have a very active theater community. Yeah. But for film, have you seen the increase in demand? Oh,
very much so. We have a bunch of really great kids, mainly from Buff State, that have sort of joined the ranks of the art department, which is the sort of the part of the film that creates the background and the props and scene painting and all that sort of stuff. And as we are building a crew base in Buffalo, and we keep talking about this, a crew base that is talented enough that we're just like with Matt's company, that we're creating a crew base that's a quality high enough that people will want to come and work with us. And these young people that are coming up are just great.
Well, in fact, I had heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there was so much activity the last 2 years, and particularly in one particular point, I don't know when it began and when it ended, but they were saying that it was hard for them to get enough crew, that all the different people were here at the right time. And how do you handle that?
Well, I mean, just this year alone, we had about a 2 or 3 week overlap between this movie Crown Vic and Bashira, and we were really struggling to actually find, in the camera department, we had days where we were trying to do 3 camera teams at once, and we really had to stretch. Luckily, I knew some people coming up from Buff State that we were able to get involved, and I'm sure you had the same situation on Bashira.
Yeah, so we're definitely building a crew base, but as the movie industry hopefully grows, like it has been, that we're going to need more and more people to crew all these things up.
Well, I'd like to hear from both of you what your advice is to kids that are coming up and they think this is what they want to do, what the expectation should be. I mean, from your perspective with props and how what kind of person should go into this?
Wow. There are so many different aspects of art department stuff, design, everything from design, drafting.
Is your background
painting.
art?
Yes, my degree was in design from Buff State. I took a lot of fine arts, but then I also got the theater bug in my second year, so I have a lot of theater background too. So I developed a love for storytelling at the campus. So all of those things, and I mean, there's even like accounting and marketing and just people that are organized. All those things.
I could use those skills
yeah,
myself.
and
so could the film commission. So there you go.
All those things are part of the film. It's like you sort of create. I sort of say it's like going to a summer camp. Like you get a whole group of strangers almost sort of come together and you create something together. And there's every part of that, from even food being available for lunch, are all part of the process of making a film every day. A lot
of moving parts in a very short period of time,
Yes.
usually. Now, for you, what would you advise kids?
The biggest thing I always look for is somebody who is self-motivated. That is the most important thing, because this industry, you need to be self-motivated in order to grow, The second thing I would say is I like to see people who know what they want to do. Because there are so many different departments, if you don't know the exact place you want to be in, it's kind of hard to get yourself skilled in that area, because then you're doing a lot of little things and you're learning a lot of little stuff, but it's not going to get you to grow and get you that perfect skill to perfect your craft, which is, in my world, what we need. We need people who are looking to perfect that skill in their craft.
I'm almost afraid to say that it seems like the golden time right now. Everything seems to be clicking. There's high demand. It seems as if we're training a lot of people. What is it about this place at this time that makes it seem to be right now?
Wow. Do you mean like to film in Buffalo?
Yeah. And to be in business here, to have, for you guys sitting, you're doing things, I can tell from the way you're talking, that you love. And as frustrating as some of it may be, it's still something you love. And most of us are lucky if we get to do that.
I just, just in this last film, I did everything from...
And what film was that?
Bashira.
Okay.
I did everything from drafting to spending evenings in my office figuring out the right consistency of slime.
Well, so that's certainly something.
My inner, 8-year-old is very happy with that. And I think Buffalo in general is going through this incredible growth spurt. That's part of it. The fact that you mentioned there's been a lot of theater in Buffalo, so there's a lot of skill set for people. People come from LA and they say, oh, we're going to have to bring these people in, or scene painters, or we have to bring people in from New York. It's like, no, we have all that here. We have, I think there's 20 professional theater organizations, and they all have carpenters and scene painters. That's all here. It's just sort of getting the transition with those people into a place where they understand how film works, which is a lot faster. And so, yeah.
How about for you?
For me, I'm not actually from Buffalo originally. I came from the Albany, Saratoga area, and I fell in love with Buffalo as a location. You could go like 20, 30 minutes anywhere from downtown and be in a completely different location. So from my perspective, shooting a film here is great because you have so many different options. You have the old style architecture, or you could have the new style city architecture, or you could go out to a cornfield down in Lockport. You could go anywhere and have what you need to shoot right here. So I think location really has a lot to do with it. And we're close to a lot of major cities. Pittsburgh's only 3 hours away. New York City's an hour flight away, and that's not bad at all. And if we really need something bigger, Toronto's an hour drive up north. Like, it's really nice location.
I have to ask this because, I'm a big proponent of the film credits, and we would not be in existence if it weren't for that. How important is that? Because, we're during a political time. We've had candidates and people in office saying, hey, it should be on their own merits. We shouldn't be subsidizing this industry. How big a difference have those film credits made, in you being in business and in getting the quality of projects here?
There are so many different aspects of that. just one example would be the states that have lost the tax credit have been trying to get work with us because it's dried up in their state. I think New Orleans is one of them. The other side of it, and I've told this story many times.
So you mean folks from New Orleans are trying to come here and work?
Yes, because the film industry is sort of, I wouldn't say it's dying, but it's not what it was because the tax credits have gone away. And I think that's sort of how this works until you establish yourself enough, right? So the other side of it is there's been many times in my life where I've gone to antique stores in theater and I've had $100 in my pocket. And I used to joke that they pulled the blinds down when they saw me coming because they didn't have any money. Those same antique stores that I've been going to now have had major bumps with tens of thousands of dollars, and that's money that's injected into the economy, and those people can now buy whatever they need to buy, and it sort of spreads throughout the community. And that's true of food. It's like a long list.
Hotels,
food trucks, hotels, certainly the wood places and the paint places we've made very happy, and I know that has had a huge part on their bottom line.
How about from the technical side of it?
Well, I mean, for me, we get a lot more people coming here to rent from us because there is such a tax break on gear, on crew, on everything. So we just get not just the people wanting the gear, but more of a frequency of it. We went from maybe 1 film a year to 4 or 5 films a year. So that helps us out a lot. But again, like Butler's saying, it's not just about us individually. It's about what the tax credit does for the community.
It's a cumulative.
Yeah. I mean, because I think some people look at it and go, oh, well, it's just helping the filmmakers. It's just helping the people making the movies. But it's really not. It's really hotels, restaurants. There are people who come here and then want to come back for vacations because they love the area so much. So it helps every aspect of Buffalo.
It's interesting because I also work with Visit Buffalo Niagara, full disclosure, on the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And it was funny, in the middle of winter, there was an uptick in the number of beds that were being, used in the different hotels around town, and they couldn't figure it out because there weren't the conventions going on and everything. And what was happening is that there were like 3 films being done at the same time, and I don't think that
those are long-term people too, right?
Long-term people that
6
are,
weeks,
and they're eating in our restaurants and learning about this area. But have you also heard people say it's a lot easier to make films here? That maybe because it's smaller?
Absolutely,
it's smaller. There was one film I worked on where there was a gentleman from the West Coast who wasn't the most pleasant person. And he said to me as sort of an insult, "Why are you people so nice around me?" and I don't get that.
You should have told him you're just hanging out with the wrong people.
Well, that's sort of what I did. I was just talking to Matt that there's one of the executive producers. I heard this secondhand worked on was part of Marshall that was here. Just fell in love with Buffalo, and he told one of the people under him that of all the places he'd done films, he'd never been around people that were so authentic and enjoyable to work with. And supposedly he's planning to bring more here.
Well, we like that. We like to hear that.
I don't mind having that reputation at all.
We're the city of good neighbors, and I think it shows for anybody who comes to town to shoot.
Well, congratulations to both of you. Sometimes you work, and you're never rewarded. It's good when good things happen, and you get to do what you like to do, and it's good for the economy. So,
absolutely.
2 businesses that are prospering because of the film credit and doing good work here in Buffalo. For Behind the Camera, I'm Cindy Abbott Letro. See you next time.